Previously on Cup's Vlogs, we began our long trip to Chicago. With some tough waters, of course. We covered the west side of Chicago and the south side of Chicago with good results. We went to Navy Pier, and we got to see the iconic Windy City during the night hours. And now, we bring you the second installment of Cal Unit Productions' Chicago Extravaganza. And believe me guys, this is gonna get crazy. Day 4 was honestly the most exciting day of this trip, as we made the venture to the Illinois Railway Museum in Union. Known as America's largest railroad museum, it is home to 450 pieces of various railroad equipment from all across the United States. From steam locomotives to interurban cars, freight and passenger cars of all eras, and tons of railroad memorabilia kept on display throughout the museum grounds. You bet if I went to Chicago I would go here. The rostered trains that day were Surface Line 3142, a pair of Chicago Aurora interurban cars, and Frisco 1630 for the coach train. So right from the get-go, this was a decent selection for today's outing. I arrived on the museum grounds just in time to see 1630 getting ready for the day's work. After that, we started taking a look at the outside display, which had Chicago Northwestern 6847 out with its dynamic brakes tarped. Also note the rather newly restored plow it has. We also spotted a US troop car with some quirky graffiti.
Amorg. Wow, my god. Get an image of that and send it to the group chat.
Other equipment outside included a TTC streetcar from my homeland, the BN executive units, Tiny Lad, a toaster, one of 2 surviving UPG tails, and a giant rotary snowplow, amongst a good variety of diesel locomotives. We checked out the Milwaukee Road Library car afterwards, which had a nice selection of books, although I didn't pick any up for some reason. We would begin touring the various public barns on the museum grounds. Except Barn 6. You see, not long before I came to Chicago, Barn 6 suffered an electrical fire which had damaged part of the roof. Because of this, the barn was closed off to the public. Just hopefully none of the equipment was badly damaged. We first, however, checked out the diesel shop, which had the SC50 and the recently purchased RS1325 out in the open, alongside the EMD sign that was once displayed at LaGrange.
I think, is that from an F-45 or something?
No, it looks like it's from a Jeep.
Yeah. And there's a wild rivet counter out in the open.
Barn 7 was the first one to check out, as it featured various pieces of interurban and rapid transit equipment.
I think we see a funny over there.
Hey, Hotham.
Yeah?
This one's from Fade's area. There was also a bunch that came from Trolleyville when they went bankrupt. What was Trolleyville?
We also managed to see the Electroliner in there, a New Jersey Transit PCC, and Indiana Traction 65, the one that started it all.
Look at this. The torture chair. We will behead you on the torture chair, the IRM.
On the way to the famous barn was the storage tracts, which featured the museum's Shea Gang some work done, Lake Superior Nishpeming 35 with its unique booster truck, Graysonia, Nashville, and Ashdown 26, and a rotting Grand Trunk Western 8380.
I'm just looking. Look at A3H cab. It's rusting away.
Well, like I said, they're gonna. I think at some point they are gonna start.
Yeah, this thing's falling apart. This thing is falling apart. Like, geez.
Oh, you think that's bad? Wait till we get to the CNO thing up there.
CNO 2707 was right behind him, and that too was a rotting mess.
Yeah, this thing. Wow.
See what I mean?
Oh, it just looks like a Hulk. I've never seen the side of this locomotive and like, oh my gosh, this looks like it's falling apart.
Yeah, see?
Best bar in the collection is bar 9, where all the good stuff lays. Right before my... Oh!
Upon being greeted warmly by the Zephyr, there were many iconic wonders stored within this iconic barn, which include but not limited to Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 3007, Grand Trunk Western 6323, Little Joe 809, Norfolk and Western 2050, Milwaukee Road 37C, which looked like this at some point, Pennsylvania Railroad 4927, Milwaukee Road 265, and Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 4963.
It's him! It's the glorious little dubious thingy-mabob! It's the Forney! I forever love this thing.
More gems include the Rock Island 938, Union Pacific 6930,
Ah, yes. I love my graduation photo. Now, this is what I look like as an adult.
and Santa Fe 2903, which is considered as the largest steam locomotive preserved in the state of Illinois. I'm not even bluffing. Outside Bar 9 was Southern Pacific 975, one of few surviving locomotives from the Texas and New Orleans Railroad. After the barn visits, we made our way to the station, upon being greeted with the 3142.
Tank car.
We first rode the Aurora cars, and we headed down the line in fine style. He leaves! Gotta say though, I love these interurban cars. I honestly would want to imagine myself riding them in the 1940s. I also got to blow the whistle as well.
Alright, let's get this show on the road.
Wait, do it one more time. I forgot to hit the record.
Upon returning back to the station, we would then ride 1630's train. I would also be greeted to another person on this trip, that being TP Rail Productions.
Oh geez, she's blowing hard.
What do I have to say about 1630's trip? It was hella fun.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just Quattro Bandit run.
Finally, upon returning back to the museum grounds, I want to check out the library and pick up some books. However, it would unfortunately be closed for today. I was disappointed, but ah well. However, we would then encounter something rather unexpected. The 1325 was out and about, and we decided to stay and watch this rare switcher run around the station back to the diesel shop. It's one thing seeing this diesel sitting silent, but seeing it running is something else. Keep in mind, only 2 of these were ever built. So, honestly, worth it in my personal opinion. But it wasn't the only other diesel that was out. Illinois Terminal 1605 was being used to maneuver the shape back into Barn 9 after some work was finished. Unusual and weird pairing of locomotives, I'll say. We would check out the museum shop, to which they had a few layouts out. And also a leftover from the EMD anniversary.
Good to garbage.
We would check around the diesel shop to see the RS-1325 being coupled in front of C&W 411, alongside a few other diesel locomotives out on display. We would see 1605 reverse down the line to give a single coach back to 1630's train. We checked around the diamond to see the Aurora pair being put back into the shed as the day was slowly starting to wind down.
Where are those cars going? They're playing them away.
On our way, we cut through Bar 9 again, to which is where I would talk to some of these locomotives.
This thing is better than 6325, so Ohio foamers can kill me for that. This is death and crack cocaine. Because
you're doing what I'm thinking. You're doing what I think you're doing, right?
yes, I would want to see this thing get restored. This is a fat piece of shit.
No fucking Weston's right here.
This boy is chunky. He is big bodybuilding. He is a mess, a literal mess. What, like, he should be ashamed of himself. Like, look, he's got like rust and piping everywhere. This guy is filthy. This guy's filthy. You see, you hear that? You're at 2050. You're filthy. You need to clean yourself up if you don't look presentable to the public. Okay?
TP, being a fellow volunteer of the IRM, would give us a private tour of some of the inaccessible barns. Normally, these were closed off to the public as they would just store equipment. But thankfully, we were given access to a few of these barns to take a look at the various pieces of railroad equipment. And all I could say is, it was a treasure trove for sure.
Why they got model stuff in here for some reason?
We managed to see a good amount of gems hidden within the barns, which include Metro 308, whatever this is,
Oh God, this one took a shit.
the C&W bi-levels, and the sole surviving Baldwin transfer. Also were some obscure steam locomotives, which included Tuskegee 101, Lehigh New England 207, and CB&Q 637. To close out the visit, we would check the outside portion, to which future barns are to be made here and hopefully open to the public in the near future. All I could say is, this visit to the IRM was one hell of a ride. From meeting up with friends to riding some trains, to shaming steam locomotives, to seeing some unscheduled action with some iconic units, to checking out the other barns which you normally don't have access to. Honestly, you could see this as the best part of this trip, and honestly, I wholeheartedly agree. On our way back to the hotel, we managed to stop by the outlet center in Aurora, Illinois, and would check out LaGrange during the night hours. I only scored 2 trains though, the first of which is a Metra inbound. The last train to close off the night was a Metra outbound, with a bit of horn action on the side. A nice way to end off the best day on this trip. Day 5, we would cover the leftover locations in the Chicago area before making our way down the Joliet. The first one to start off the day was La Vergne Metra. This is where the racetrack passes underneath a CN main line. Usually the station is busy during the weekdays on rush hour periods. On weekends, Metra trains often bypass the station. The first train that we got at this location was a Metra inbound, with a familiar face. Some Jeeps pulled up to the crossing for a yard job. Pretty normal stuff, I will say. The only BNSF train we managed to score was a Manifest, being powered by a Gevo with a CPCWM trailing. And on the end of the train was a repainted fake bonnet. Our next location was the Belt Railway of Chicago's clearing yard, which upon arriving, we were already greeted to the only EMD pair that we scored on a mainline train during this trip. Following the train was a Beltway Chicago slug set. Story time! Back when I first visited Chicago in 2019, I went to this exact spot and I managed to see the exact same slug set. However, I managed to get jump scared by the exact same unit. Thankfully though, I didn't get jump scared this time. Our next and final location for Chicago at least was Willow Springs Metra, which is located along CN's Joliet subdivision. While unfortunately we didn't score any CN trains, we did score an Amtrak Texas Eagle with a P42 liter, so I guess that's something. We would soon drive to Joliet and have a nice dinner at Texas Roadhouse before checking into our hotel. Fast forward an hour or two and we arrive at Joliet. Unfortunately, due to the weird timing, I missed one of the Joliet locals, which had a Santa Fe caboose, which I am totally not upset over missing, but oh well, it's what it is. The first proper train of this location was a BNSF westbound intermodal. From my point of view at the Diamond, it was really loud when on this track. The next train was a southbound Amtrak Lincoln service, with one of the Midwestern Chargers leading it. Also, I gotta love the mismatched consists, showcasing the wide variety of rolling stock Amtrak has on their intercity routes.
Okay, so Lincoln just pulled in. My man still has a few more feet of the platform left. Unless that's intentional. Viewliner baggage and Horizon coach in a admittedly rather funky consist because Amtrak's equipment is just, the equipment management is weird. So yeah, probably one of the most funkiest examples, or more typical example, of Amtrak's weird period of having older Horizon and Am fleets alongside the more newer Siemens cars. Oh, and Viewliner baggage.
Finally, the last train to close off in the state of Illinois was the BNSF eastbound intermodal. I wasn't expecting to get two fake bonnets on the same subdivision. Talk about hitting two birds with one stone, eh? While it was a little lacking in terms of action, it was nice to check out more locations, and essentially, we're closing off the state of Illinois. As tomorrow, we're heading home. Before making the long journey home, we managed to make a stop in Madison, Illinois to visit family. I managed to check out the one main line they had, which was drawing traffic. However, they did have this EJ&E caboose on display. A lot of driving later, and we hit our final location of the trip. That being none other than Gary, Indiana. A place where you have a dozen or so main lines and a hump yard all in one location. You could spend hours railfanning here and probably score like a good amount of traffic. The first train at this location, while also being technically the final one, is a CSX Coke train about to make its way into the yard, with an AC-44 leading. Meanwhile, while we were facing north, we had some hump yard action to watch, as we see a few of the interesting hump yard sets that are in action. would have known I would have been able to shoot 4 fallen flags in one? What a nice surprise. And as the last car passed the crossing, the Chicago trip came to an end. In conclusion, the Chicago trip was one hell of a train ride. No pun intended. From a lot of mainline action to hanging out with friends for one day, to seeing some unexpected or hidden gems within the Windy City, to even seeing the wonders of the Windy City. It was one trip that I will never forget. And honestly, throughout the 6 days I was in the Windy City, they did not disappoint. Except for the fact that most of the mainline trains were all GE. And with that, we have come to the end of the Chicago vlog. I do hope you all enjoyed watching this two-parter, and I will see you all in the next video, folks. Take care.
Wait, the top part's the booty hole.
Booty hole.
Why? Don't call it that. As you can see here, it's the dubious rotary snowplow thingamabob asserting its dominance. This is Hotham brings you live from Chicago with heavy rain and severe thunderstorms. Possible flash flood.
Gather up all your personal belongings. Ladies, that means husbands and boyfriends who bought them to take them with them. We're not speaking.
Oh boy, a very liminal and creepy area. I sure hope nothing bad happens. Give it a shot. Happy birthday, Grimace. That is true.
Alright, here's the Baldy right next to you.
Like Baldy?
Yeah, the Baldy's right next to you.
What a weird name to call this thing. Fucking the contrast between communist and Pennsylvania GG1, but unfortunately is a shadow of her more popular excursion sister. And down the right is this e-girl, lesbian girl.
Now, if you do leave something behind, don't worry, you get it back tomorrow. I'll have it on eBay.